Human dignity is the most important human right from which all other fundamental rights derive. It basically sets the framework for the work of the Wasmus Center for Human Rights. The mission of the Wasmus Center for Human Rights is to promote respect for human dignity and diversity through education, and to foster individual responsibility to work for justice and peace. We achieve this mission by providing educational programs for teachers and students, engaging in community leadership, and advocating for human rights. Our work is guided by a human rights framework that draws upon the language and intent of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The UDHR is a declaration adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on December 10, 1948. The declaration arose directly from the experience of the Second World War and represents the first global expression of rights to which all human beings are inherently entitled. The message or the power of the promotion for respect for human dignity and diversity is the underlying message at the Idaho Anne Frank Human Rights Memorial. The center is the builder of the memorial, and as such, we like to say we are it and it is us. Our work is intricately related. The memorial is the visual manifestation of everything we stand for. It is the concrete bricks and mortar of really the pillars of our organization. What is referenced in the quotes that are scattered throughout the memorial, all is the underpinnings of our work. Human dignity is defined as an individual or group's sense of self-respect and self-worth, physical and psychological integrity, and empowerment. What we're going to talk in this presentation is not about a call for special rights, but rather what we're referencing as these are fundamental human rights. All members of the human family are deserving and worthy of these rights for one mere fact: they are human. These are the core to humanity. While the Universal Declaration of Human Rights has no power of law in and of itself, it has been used as a source in countless treaties and national constitutions. While some might argue that the Declaration is aspirational, the 30 articles articulate principles of dignity, liberty, and equality, the rights of the individual, the fundamental legality of human rights, and rights of the individual in civil and political society, spiritual, public, and political freedoms, and social, economic, and cultural rights. Let's start with Article 1. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience, and act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. The article does not include the conjunction but, nor does it indicate exceptions. All human beings are born free and equal. Senator Rob Portman, Republican from Ohio, stated, "I have come to believe that if two people are prepared to make a lifetime commitment to love and care for each other in good times and in bad, the government should not deny them the opportunity to get married." The senator reversed his stance on same-sex marriage 2 years after learning that his son is gay. He added, "It allowed me to think of this issue from a new perspective, and that's of a dad who loves his son a lot and wants him to have the same opportunities that his brother and sister would have, to have a relationship like Jane and I have had for over 26 years. The right to marriage and family is not a special right. It is a human right." Article 2. Everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration, without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. A leading conservative Republican in Congress who held hardline views on immigration, including ardent opposition to legalizing undocumented immigrants, now supports measures that would include a path to legal status. U.S. Representative Ted Poe, Republican, Texas, who is vice chairman of the House Immigration Subcommittee, said, "I've changed." First elected to Congress in 2004, Poe not only will discuss other immigration issues, but is going head-on against many of his fellow conservatives in his decision to support a path to legal status for the more than the 11 million undocumented immigrants in the country. The right to life, liberty, and security of person is not a special right. It is a human right. Article 7. All are equal before the law and are entitled without any discrimination to equal protection of the law. All are entitled to equal protection against any discrimination in violation of this declaration and against any incitement to such discrimination. In February, though vetoed by the governor, the Arizona legislature passed a bill to protect all individuals, businesses, and religious institutions from discrimination lawsuits if they could show that their discriminatory actions were motivated by religious convictions. As author Matthew Whitaker suggested, under the guise of religious freedom, the bill would have potentially enabled businesses to discriminate against virtually anyone, not just Jews, Muslims, Sikhs, agnostics, and atheists, but also unwed mothers, Rastafarians, and Budweiser t-shirt wearers. The bill was arbitrary, capricious, and anti-ethical to the spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood that inform our documents of freedom. It would have led to marginalization and oppression by allowing bigots to deny gay people access to virtually any business or service. The road to Indian genocide, Jim Crow, Japanese American internment, the Holocaust, and other iterations of human persecution began with laws that isolated and dehumanized entire groups of people. Members of Arizona's congressional delegation, including its 2 Republican senators, spoke out against the legislation and urged the governor to veto it. Protection from discrimination is not a special right. It is a human right. Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, and Rhode Island legislatures voted to raise the minimum hourly wage by as much as $1, anywhere from $8 to $8.70. In California, a $1 increase to $9 was scheduled this past July. Smaller automatic increases tied to inflation will take effect in 9 other states: Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Missouri, Montana, Ohio, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington. Meanwhile, states such as Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maryland, Minnesota, and South Dakota plan to weigh minimum wage hikes next year through legislation or ballot initiatives. Federally, this past April, Republican Congressman Susan Collins of Maine launched an effort to forge a bipartisan compromise over increasing the minimum wage. The right to just and favorable remuneration, ensuring the worker and his or her family an existence worthy of human dignity, is not a special right. It is a human right. Recently, the Coeur d'Alene Press ran a piece identifying the future of education leadership in Idaho is at stake in this election. Funding levels, as well as meaningful reforms, are critical to the success of students. Candidates should engage in a robust debate on multiple education issues, including that of early childhood education, a vital component of education reform. A failure by state officials to restore education funding and, indeed, to place Idaho students in a position where they can vie for jobs in an ultra-competitive world would inflict a grave injury on our students and our economy. Education, after all, is the most important family values issue in a state that boasts of its commitment to family values. Inadequate funding of educational programs undercuts the future of our children and stunts economic growth and opportunities. Education is the key to unlocking a brighter future for our children. companies will be discouraged from relocating to Idaho, no matter how attractive state tax incentives and benefits may be, if the workforce is perceived to be undereducated, undertrained, and unprepared to fill the jobs that they would bring to the gem state. Federally, retired Congressman Todd Platts, Republican, Pennsylvania, spent 12 years on Capitol Hill advocating for policies that support educators and the work that they do every day on behalf of the nation's students, even when it put him at odds with his fellow Republicans and a president of his own party. Quality education is not a special right. It is a human right. Article 26 identifies, education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality and to the strengthening of respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. Yes, I have two themes running through my remarks. One draws upon the words of Frederick Douglass that are etched into the stone at the Idaho Anne Frank Human Rights Memorial to remind us no man can put a chain about the ankle of his fellow man without at last finding the other end fastened about his own neck. To deny or diminish another's dignity is a chain that can cripple a community. As President John F. Kennedy stated, I believe in human dignity as the source of national purpose. The other, not so subtle theme, well, we can each individually choose to promote and protect human rights. Lawmakers, regardless of their party affiliation, can choose to support or enact legislation that is just. And justice, at its core, has a genuine respect for people. We are not educating and advocating for special rights. We are calling for human rights, which are the dignity, stature, humanity, respect, and freedom belonging to all people by right of their birth. In closing, I draw from another quote etched into the memorial. Where, after all, do universal human rights begin? In small places close to home, so close and so small they cannot be seen on any map of the world, yet they are the world of the individual person, the neighborhood he or she lives in, the school or college he or she attends, the factory, farm, or office where he or she works. Such are the places where every man, woman, and child seeks equal justice, equal opportunity, equal dignity without discrimination. Unless these rights have meaning there, they have little meaning anywhere. These are human rights, not special rights.